Many people assume that the life of a World War II soldier was simply about obeying orders. But from the exhausted infantrymen struggling through muddy frontline trenches to the powerful field marshals commanding entire armies, the German military operated within a strict and intricate hierarchy built on authority, status, and discipline. Today, we're going to break down every rank within the German army and explore how soldiers advance step by step up this dangerous and demanding ladder. The enlisted men, Mannschaft and Soldat. The Soldat was the bedrock of the army, the lowest enlisted rank below all others, including the Jeff Raider. Standardized in 1935 after conscription returned, it remained the starting point throughout World War II. These men wore no sleeve insignia, earning them the nickname Unikinen, meaning without insignia, and were often called Frontween or Front Pig by veterans. They handled rifle duty, trench work, and hauling supplies without any leadership role. Promotion to the next tier took 6 to 12 months based on merit. While the SS used Schuri and the Luftwaffe used Flieger, Soldat was the specific term for the army. Jeff Raider meaning Lance Corporal. This was the first promotion above Soldat formalized during Germany's 1935 rearmament. It became the most common rank of the war as men gained basic combat experience. A Jeff Raider wore a single downward-pointing chevron on their upper left sleeve. Promotion was usually automatic after 6 months of disciplined service. No leadership evaluation was required. They remained frontline riflemen or machine gunners, but were often trusted with technical roles like driving or radio operation. While they held no command authority, the rank symbolized a proven survivor, equivalent to Sturman in the SS, Oberrehr. The senior Lance Corporal ranked above Jeff Raider and below Hauptschiefreiter. Used widely during the war, it recognized reliable soldiers with over a year of service. Unlike the previous rank, this required a superior's recommendation, not just time. They wore 2 chevrons on the sleeve. Though they held no formal command, Oberfreiters were the dependable core of the squad, often handling logistics or heavy weapon operation. In the SS, this was a rotten Führer. In the army, it meant seasoned experience. Hauptchiefreiter introduced in 1940. This chief rank recognized long-serving enlisted men who hadn't transitioned into the NCO tier. It sat between Ober and Stabler. The insignia featured 2 chevrons with a central PIP. Promotion required extended frontline service and solid discipline. While not formal leaders, they acted as informal mentors and expert machine gunners. The SS equivalent was Unjures Scharführer rankwise, but it marked a soldier who was a master of his craft. Stabler, the highest enlisted rank below the NCOs, the staff Lance Corporal was for veterans with several years on the front. It featured 2 chevrons and a central pip, distinguished by its selective nature. Promotion was based on long-term reliability rather than leadership potential. They often served as senior technical assistants or administrative aides. In the SS, the equivalent was STM Schar. The non-commissioned officers Onier. This was the first true NCO rank marking a shift into leadership over small groups. It required several years of service and NCO training. Insignia included silver braid tress on the collar and shoulder straps. These men led squads and supervised daily discipline. They were the essential glue of the front line. Equivalent to an Untersurfer in the SS, Feldwebel, a mid-level NCO and a pillar of German military tradition. Positioned above Unteroffizier, they acted as squad leaders or platoon deputies. They wore silver shoulder braid with 1 pip. Promotion required strong leadership and an excellent service record. They were the backbone of the army, executing tactical orders in the heat of battle. SS equivalent Oberführer. Oberfeldwebel. The senior sergeant was awarded to veteran NCOs who managed units and led in combat. Their insignia included 2 pips. They often acted as deputy platoon leaders or handled company-level training. These were trusted field leaders with high operational responsibility. SS equivalent Hauptführer. Stabsfeldwebel reserved for veterans with 10 to 12 years of exemplary service. This rank was introduced in 1938. It featured 3 pips. They acted as senior advisors and logistical overseers, ensuring frontline efficiency through institutional experience. SS equivalent Sturmscharführer. Hauptfeldwebel. Not a rank but a critical appointment for the most senior NCO in a company. Known as the Spieß or spear, they wore piston rings, double tress on their cuffs. They held authority over discipline and administration, acting as the right hand to the company commander. The officer's Offizier Lieutenant. The lowest commissioned officer typically assigned to fresh graduates of military MIs. They wore a single silver pip on braided shoulder boards. Lieutenants commanded platoon of 30 to 50 men and bore the heavy burden of tactical leadership and mission execution. They faced high casualty rates as they led from the front. Oberleutnant, a senior lieutenant with 2 to 3 years of experience. They wore 2 silver pips and served as platoon commanders or executive officers. Promotion was based on proven combat leadership. They played pivotal roles in unit coordination during complex operations. Hauptmann. The captain was a company-grade officer responsible for 100 to 200 soldiers. Their insignia featured 3 silver pips. They held full responsibility for a company's combat readiness, training, and discipline. This rank formed the backbone of frontline tactical leadership. SS equivalent Hauptster FUA. Major. The first field officer rank. Majors served as battalion executive officers or commanders of specialized units. Their insignia shifted to a silver braid with 1 gold pip. They bridged the gap between frontline action and higher-level strategy, managing logistics and tactics on a larger scale. Oberleutnant. The lieutenant colonel typically commanded battalions of up to 1,000 soldiers. With 2 gold pips, they balanced tactical command with administrative oversight. They were the critical link between high command directives and the men in the dirt. Oberst. The colonel was the highest field officer commanding entire regiments. They wore 3 gold pips. Promotion required extensive experience and strategic ability. They oversaw large-scale operations and coordinated directly with the General Staff. SS equivalent Standardtenführer. The General Staff General Major, the entry point to the elite General Staff, typically commanding divisions of 15,000 troops. Their insignia was a gold and silver interwoven shoulder board with 1 silver star. They planned large-scale operations and moved the big pieces on the map. Generalleutnant. The lieutenant general commanded entire army corps with 2 silver stars. They directed multi-division operations and strategic campaigns. This rank held massive authority in directing the overall war effort. General der Infantry, a branch Pacific 3-star general, also General der Panzer, etc. They commanded full army corps or held high-level staff positions. Promotion required decades of excellence and political trust. They shaped campaign-level strategy across entire fronts. Generalist. Colonel General was the second highest rank, just below Field Marshal. These men commanded entire field armies or the High Command itself. They wore 3 silver pips on heavy gold-silver braiding and were often personally appointed by Hitler for their strategic brilliance. General Field Marshal, the absolute pinnacle of German military prestige, awarded for major victories or commanding entire army groups, the Field Marshal carried the symbolic cross batons. This was a personal honor from Hitler, granting sweeping authority over hundreds of thousands of troops. From the soldat in the trench to the General Field Marshal in the war room, the German rank system was designed for efficiency, but it couldn't save them from the collapse of 1945. Which of these ranks did you find the most surprising? Let me know in the comments.